virtual. This brother's great grandfather is the one who started Tuskegee University. And he's on here to share some information with y'all. Now, this is in Alabama, but this goes everywhere. This brother about to share some stuff with you that's about to blow you away, stuff that we're not even paying attention of. So, Patrick, what's up, brother?
Man, brother, it's good to hear from you, bro. It's been a while, but we used to chop it up big time back in the day.
Right.
So check this out, man. There's a lot of new stuff coming down the pike, man. But you and I are both down here in the belly of the beast, man. And there are only 7 states that are just as evil and wicked and racist as this one. And there's plenty of evidence about this. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight. Because, see, the thing is, we have a few problems. First of all, people always want to talk about voting and the power of voting. And in Alabama, that takes on a different tone. Now, the second thing that we have is the Alabama Criminal Code, which gives us some issues too, because the way that they write the criminal code is detrimental to how we operate. You see what I'm saying? So then the third thing is what I talk about is the perfect storm that created the situation for what we're dealing with right now with the riots and the looting and the protesting and whatever you want to call it. But, one of the first things I want to start off with, like we talked about off the air, Kerry, this issue of how they twist the law to manipulate and take advantage of people of color in this country, and especially in this state. It's supremely wicked here. And that's what I want everybody around the world, all the viewers, to understand. While we're talking about this George Floyd incident, I want to give you a little situational awareness on what the people of color are going through here in the belly of the beast. Okay, because Alabama, their laws are created to just basically screw us over. And so that's what I want to talk about. And first thing I want to talk about is called Alabama Criminal Code 13A 11-9. And what that is the Alabama Code, which forbids people from wearing a mask in public to cover your face, and I'm going to read this, and this is part 4 of it. You cannot be masked, and you cannot be loitering or remaining or congregating in a public place if you have a mask on. You can't cover your mouth and nose like that. That's an Alabama law that's been on the books for a long time. That law has been on the books since 1949. And it was created, now, ironically, man, man, this is really ironic. Indigenous one, bro, this is really deep. They created that law to protect people of color, the indigenous people of this landmass, from Jim Crow and the Klan. They had so much Klan activity, and these people were going around terrorizing folks under the color of law with their faces covered. So they passed this law that said you can't do that. And that what I just read to you is specifically targeted towards the Klan. Now, let's fast forward all the way up to 2020. Okay. Now, hear this out. That law, 13A-11-9, is still on the books in Alabama today. It comes with a $500 fine. So technically, everybody that is wearing your corona mask or your viral fear mask, you're basically playing into this game where you're breaking the law. You are breaking the constitutional law of the state. Now, think about what this scenario could turn into. You are traveling through the state of Alabama. It's COVID season. And you see what I've got here. This is how I roll. They say cover your face, stay protected, and all that. So I wear it. I keep it around my neck. It's a bandana. I don't like trying to look for a mask or, oh, I left it in the car. It's always around my neck. Governor Cuomo in New York suggested it, and several others did. Oh, just something cloth covering your face. People are improvising these masks all over the place. The sheriff wears one on the program that he and I host together. Well, what would be the situation if I drive into one of the most redneck towns in this state, brother, and I'm wearing my mask as everybody, including the governor, KKK Ivy, is suggesting to us, right? We put this on. And now you're breaking the law. You're subject to a $500 fine. What does that mean? That means that a law enforcement officer can charge you at his discretion to do this. Now, the CDC, the federal government, has said, oh, we suggest that you break this law in the spirit of safety for the community. Okay. Well, the state, they can still arrest you. They have not changed the law to say that that doesn't stand. Well, I'm in Alabama, and we have the Klan marching here. We have crosses being burned right down the street in this county where I am right now. And you're telling me that something like this could not happen. It could clearly, surely happen. And so that's why I suggest that everybody be aware of this law. Now, in the county where I am, I don't expect to get harassed. But my law enforcement here, I don't think that they're aware of it either. But because I'm in a place where the community is majority people of color like me, that's not something that I worry about. But I do worry about people of color in these really, really backwoods communities that don't understand this fully. So that's what that law means. So we're technically, all of us are breaking the law, and including the law enforcement, because these laws they're subject to these laws too. They haven't changed and said that law enforcement was exempt. So that's a major issue, bro.
So,
So
what does that mean? Just for the everyday person. So, how would that be used? How could they use that law against us?
Okay, I go into a convenience store. I've got my improvised mask on, brother, and I walk up to the counter and I order, a pack of Black and Milds or something. And the cashier is spooked and he pushes his little panic button. And all of a sudden there's a Negro in my establishment wearing a mask. Oh my God. And then you come out of the store and there's law enforcement. And of course everybody's supposed to be wearing a mask, but you just scared this white man. So we're going to take you downtown. You got some explaining to do. Well, you don't know what that law is, and you don't realize that the CDC has said that you should do this. The federal government has said that you should do this. Did you know about this? I bet you most law enforcement didn't know about this.
No, I didn't know about it.
You see what I'm saying? But this is what's going on right now. That is a situation that is going on in the state of Alabama right now as we speak. And so, in the spirit of George Floyd's death, people are really struggling and going through it with this. Now, what do we do? Personally, what do I do? Now that I found this out just today. So I'm on the TV program with the sheriff, and I'm on a TV program with the police department here in this community. So I'm wondering, do I need to ask? Shall I break the law? Am I exempt from breaking this law? I don't think I should, and not in my community. But if I go up the street 15, 20 miles to Auburn, how do I know that they're not going to give me a hard time just because I've got a 46 tag and it says that I'm from Macon County, which they hate us here. We're a Black community, and they don't like that. They like their little lily white community up there in Auburn. And yes, I said it. That's what's going on. That's how they can use it against us. That's serious, man. Because now they're getting pissed and doing things like burning a cross like less than 10 miles from where I'm sitting right now. They burned a cross. That made national news. I would suggest that all of the viewers watch that. Go and just all you have to do is Google cross burning in Alabama. It's the first thing that's going to pop up. So these people are sending us a message. And you know what? Like I said, Kerry, this happened during the show. The sheriff of this county and I were broadcasting. And we were talking about this situation. And the next thing you know, in the middle of the show, the phone starts ringing. And that was that incident being brought to our attention. So,
See, what
you know, I
don't understand about them doing that, and this is what I don't get. Do the shit when people are watching, dude. Just come on down here to where I'm at and just start doing shit with the people here. Don't do it and run. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, but see, we all know that these are some cowardly bastards. We know this. That's what it is. I mean, they and the sheriff said that too. You know, I mean, this is the problem right now. The problem right now is that the brown people are in conflict with the pink people, and this is a spiritual situation that's going on right now. It does, you know, I have friends of the other race that I love dearly, and I would, you know, hate to see something happen to them. But this is an existential threat to them, and I don't celebrate it. I don't relish in it. But it's the day of reckoning for them, and it's what's getting ready to happen. Their time is up. They only were given so much time to run this planet, and this is very well documented in all the spiritual texts and whatnot. Not to get too deep in the weeds with that, but these folks here are suffering the vengeance of the Most High. And, you know, like my grandmother and the elders in my family used to say, God don't like ugly. And this is pretty damn ugly what's going on down here. This is some bull shit. And it's been going on for generations and generations. And so what I'm saying to everyone here and everybody that is watching, when you look at what's going on around the world, that leads me to another topic that I wanted to bring up. Why are these people looting, protesting, committing these acts of violence? Everybody wants to say, including law enforcement, we don't condone this, and we don't think this is good. But you know what? You got to analyze it. If you want this to go away, if you want that violence and that looting shit to go away, you got to understand why that is happening in the first place. And nobody wants to sit down and dissect that. Serious business. Because, see, when you understand that and you unpeel that onion, you peel back those layers and you look at that, that really says volumes to why these people are committing these acts of violence and looting and stealing stuff that doesn't belong to them. Fuck them. That's what they feel. Fuck them. That's what, there's a collective cry of fuck them is what's happening right now. And that comes from a combination of four things that creates this perfect storm. And that perfect storm is this. First of all, and we talked about this off the air, Terry, his number one, for generations and years, people of color and victims of Jim Crow and systematic racism in this country have been crying out and demanding reparations for what they lost. And let me make this clear, bro. Let me make it very clear to you, man. Terry, listen. I don't believe in reparations for slavery. Fuck that. And I tell any of these Albions, these folks, I will tell them the same thing. I don't want reparations for slavery. I want reparations for Jim Crow. See, the white folks always want to say, oh, well, ain't nobody living that remembers slavery. Ain't none of us had anything to do with it. Yeah, okay, cool. Granted, touche. But you know what? My great grandmama and my grandmama went through Jim Crow, and they suffered intergenerational wealth deficiency because they were prevented from getting those loans on their houses. It's redlining. That redlining was some real shit. They went into our communities and drew a big red line around it and said, banks, we're not going to loan any money there. But over here where white guys are living and white people are living, we're going to loan them whatever they want. Okay? That is what I'm talking about. That's intergenerational wealth. And, you know, I can give you a primer on how that works. Okay? You know, giving you two examples, man. If you'll indulge me right quick, if you don't think the viewers will get this. You got a white guy and a black guy. Okay. Jamal lives in a black neighborhood. Kevin lives in a white neighborhood. They both live in a house. The Jamal doesn't have the nicest house. His place isn't all that great. And he lives in not such a good neighborhood, surrounded by his neighbors and his family and friends and whatnot. The property values are not that high. Kevin lives in an area where the property values are relatively high. Well, Jamal's family's been redlined. That whole community. The tax dollars that are generated by the housing taxes are very low compared to Kevin. If he's got a $40,000, $50,000 house, the property taxes aren't that high. Kevin got a $100,000 house, his property taxes are higher. The property taxes determine your education, the schools in your community. So Jamal goes to a crappy, shitty ass school with a crowded classroom, few resources, and an underpaid teacher. Jamal goes to a well-funded school, small classrooms, well-paid teacher, and all the resources money can buy, because property taxes in this place are doing that. Well, Jamal is the first one to graduate and go to college in his family. He struggles and scrapes his family, you know, begs and scrapes the money together for him to go to college. Kevin's family, they take out a loan on the house from their equity. That's that intergenerational wealth I'm talking about, man. That intergenerational wealth. Now that $100,000 house, because it's not redlined, Kevin's mama and daddy can go and take out a loan for another $100,000. Jamal's family can't do that. You see what I'm saying? That's why he had to pick and scrape his money to go to college.
Right.
So let's take this a little bit further, bro. So now they both graduate from college. Jamal is the first one in his family to graduate. Kevin and all his brothers and sisters graduate, okay? They get degrees. They go on, and Kevin and Jamal go for a job. Let's assume this. Kevin and Jamal both graduate from the same college. They have the same GPA. They go and put their resumes out there. They both have reasonably successful careers. Not great, but not poor. Jamal he's struggling to get interviews. Kevin is breezing right through and gets a good job. Why? There's the other part of the racist tool. Jamal has an ethnic sounding name. Kevin doesn't. And there's plenty of proof that your name and the way that your name sounds determines what, you know, your experience is going to be in the job market. That's very clear. And there's plenty of evidence about that. So when I talk about reparations, and you look at what Kevin's situation is, where at the end of the day, Kevin inherits his family's house when his parents die, and it's worth $300,000-$400,000. Kevin, Jamal, because he couldn't even get a loan on his house, his mom and daddy end up in debt with, a refi loan to fix the raggedy house up. So Jamal ends up in debt Kevin ends up with a windfall. Now Kevin can put his children through college with that windfall. Jamal is stuck back at square one, begging and scraping to put his kids through school like his mama did. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
That is what reparations should be for. That right there, that was systemic and it was purposeful. They did that shit on purpose. That was not an accident. That was not somebody, oops, it was a mistake. No, they fucking did that on purpose. And damn it, that's what the reparations should be for. Okay? That's what it should be for. Because we can quantify that shit right there. Because I could say, my grandmama didn't get that loan. See, they always want to say, oh, well, nobody related to slavery still lives. Well, you know what? My grandmama, my great grandmama, all that paperwork is there on file where you did them wrong. Okay? That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm saying when I talk about, you know, that perfect storm. That's part one of the perfect storm. What is part two? Part two, that's when you have a black man in Brunswick, Georgia, murdered by two white people in the street like a dog, and there's a videotape of it. And the white community and the people in the law enforcement even says, oh, yeah, it's justifiable, nothing to see here. Oh, yeah, just don't worry about it. Just go home to your family. No big deal. Well, some kind of way, the video leaks out 2 months later. And what happens? People all of a sudden pay attention to it, and law enforcement magically has to do something about it. That's the second part of the perfect storm. Black people are getting killed, and nobody's doing anything about it, and they're basically ignoring it. That's what they're doing.
Okay, so
they're basically turning a blind eye.
Okay, so this is where I stand on that.
Yeah,
that's what they've always done, isn't it? Time. And they're gonna keep doing it because this looks like to me this whole thing. You just saw this a few years ago in the LA riots.
That's right.
You saw this in the riots,
and nothing was done. Nothing changed. Nobody wondered. Nobody noticed. Nobody seemed to care back then. And here we are at this place again. And good that you mentioned that, Kerry, because see, here's the thing. We're back at another point, and that leads to another point. See, the thing is, when you have a man murdered in that way and nobody does anything about it, that's violence that is unjustly done, and there's no justice being served until somebody makes a big stink. Nobody cared until the video came out. That's basically what happened. Okay, that's the second part of that perfect storm I'm telling you about, man. That's part two. That's the second part. You know? What's the third part of? What's the third part of that perfect storm? The third part of the perfect storm is when black people, pissed off about them killing our people and not giving us reparations, we sit and watch on TV when white Americans go to the state capitol in Michigan armed with AR-15s, armed to the teeth. They went up to the state capitol, bro, and they did not face the billy clubs, the German shepherds, the water hoses, the billy clubs, the armed, the mounted horsemen with the cattle prods. They didn't see any of that up there in Michigan when they went to the state house. And black people saw that. We saw that. Everybody saw that. They just got away with the stuff. And there's that famous picture. I don't know if you saw it, Kerry. There's this one famous picture from that incident where there's a white guy standing with an AR-15 slung over his shoulder, pointing his finger in the cop's face. The cop has his arms down near his side. Doesn't feel threatened. He's not worried for his life. He's not fearing for his safety, is he? And here's this man with no mask on, spitting his stinky COVID breath in the officer's face. If nothing else, he should have been feared for his life because of the COVID, if that shit is even real. And that's a whole nother episode, Kerry. That's what I'm saying. So what I'm saying is, people saw that. That's part three of that perfect storm, bro. And then the final coup de grace is they watched this man gasped out the last breaths of his life under the knee of a nonchalant cop who didn't give a rat's ass about this man's life. As the man ran there calling for his mama. And the world saw that, bro. Every mother on this planet saw that. Mama, they killing me. Mother Earth heard that shit too, bro. That was the perfect storm. So now all these people talking about, oh my God, we're with you on the protest, but the looting and the violence, we don't get it. You know what? Kiss my ass. All that marching, we've been marching, what, 50 years? And what do we get? Fire hoses, rubber bullets this time. Up in Michigan, they didn't even have the damn rubber bullets. Where was the tear gas? Where was the outrage that these people, how dare them? And so black people saw all four of those things, and they were like, you know what? Fuck this. And I know I'm being a little profane, and it might turn some people off. I don't mean to do that. But you know what? We as a people, we're sick of this. The melanated people have had enough. And when you break it down, those things that I just enumerated, bro, I don't see how anybody can not be completely outraged by that. You know what I'm saying? Really, seriously. So, and I wonder how people react. What do you think?
I'm with you, man. You totally right. And I've been trying this for years, man, getting people to say, listen, we got to start taking care of ourselves because these people are going to fuck us later. Yeah. And no, just give it to Jesus. It's going to be all right. All that shit.
Yeah. Oh, and wait, there's one that says, all we could do is just pray.
Yeah.
I can't stand when I hear people say that.
Yeah.
You pray and then you go to battle.
But you never.
You pray and then you go into war. You pray and then you grab your weapon and go to war. That's what you do.
But I ain't seen Jesus yet.
Oh, no. No, you pray to the Most High. You pray to the universe. You pray to the spirit of the Most High and this universe. Okay? Right. It doesn't matter what you call it. It's that power. That's what you do. But the thing about it is, really, prayer in that form is kind of underrated, really, when you're facing a situation like this.
Right.
You say your quick prayer for protection. You pray to your entity that you know protects you and surrounds you. But then you go to battle. You spend time going to war. You see? And see, now here's the thing. Now let me tell you something. Terry, we've been talking about this for a long time. We've been talking about how these people have been taking advantage of the people of color for a very long time. This is nothing new. But the biggest thing that I saw that I've been dealing with for the last few months, bro, the thing that outrages me the most about the people of color in this state, the thing that just makes me pissed off more than anything, bro, is how they deal with politics here and how they deal with the election and the blindness that they have towards the process. And I'm going to say it like this, because on the TV shows, they call me the instigator. I'm the one that says the unpopular shit that the law enforcement can't say it, but I'm going to say it because I ain't got to be no damn diplomat, okay? So the instigator brings these things to the people's attention, and I look to see how they react. If they're outraged, hey, okay, good. You should be outraged. But there's one thing that affects both of the first two points that I made, from the Alabama criminal code to the perfect storm for this rioting and stuff. There's one thing that is at the root of this that the people in Alabama need to wake the hell up. And I've said this to the leadership here, and they seem to just kind of go into orbit. They don't seem to want to get it or understand it. I don't understand it. But black people in Alabama, like we started off this conversation, Kerry, the black people in this state, they have been marginalized and they are disenfranchised voters and they don't even damn know it. And the fact that they're not outraged about it gives me a new mission in my life. Okay? Because if you're going to change this system, you got to know how the system works, right? I'm going to tell you and admit I don't know completely all of the details on how it works. But what I do know is this. In Alabama, the black people need to stop voting at the goddamn kiddie table. And that's why this is the title of this piece. And what do I mean? What are you talking about, Pat? Voting at the kiddie table. Yeah, black people in Alabama are voting at the kiddie table. Why? Because Alabama is one of the 7 states in this country that still does that Jim Crow segregationist bull crap with the voting. When you come to Alabama, and hey, come to Alabama and see how these people do it. You come here and get your house and just, hey, I'm going to participate in the process. I'm going to change things. I'm going to make a difference. I'm going to vote my people in. I'm going to do what I need to do. Well, guess what? They tried that back in the 60s during the civil rights movement when Martin Luther King switched over, when people switched over from a Republican to Democrat. That's when the new enslavement started, right? That was in the 60s. And the new enslavement started with that, what was it called, Kerry? The New Deal? What was it called? That thing where they gave social programs and welfare. And what was that called? It was, they called it something. But when they started that was the beginning of the new slavery. And what I mean is, they switched over to Democrat. The black people did. And they said, we're going to seize political power in these racist states that are all, they used to call them, remember they used to call them Dixiecrats? You remember that? The Dixiecrats, these people decided, oh my goodness, there are too many people of color outnumbering us in the state, and they could potentially vote themselves into some power. We've got to figure out a way to dilute this power. And it took them a few years, but they came up with this ingenious way to do it. And I hope some of my leaders see this, because and the reason I'm using the profanity and the language that I am is because this is that serious to our people in this place. Now look, you go to the ballot. The first thing that they do when you walk into the polling place, and the black people do this to you in this community. Here's your ballot. In Tuskegee, Alabama, they don't even ask you usually. They just hand you the ballot and say, sign here. Well, they are handing you a Democratic ballot because they are assuming that you're a Democrat. And a lot of times they'll tell you to vote a straight Democratic ticket, which is asinine. I don't even understand why that is still a thing. Okay. But you got a Democratic ballot. It doesn't even cross your mind to ask about a Republican ballot because the Republicans are evil. You know, the Republicans of Booker T. Washington and Frederick Douglass were totally different animals. Those people are like unicorns. We're like so rare, it's hard to find people like us. But it's a totally different animal than these people that are masquerading as conservative Republicans. Because really, truly, Kerry, the conservative Republicans built Black Wall Street in Tulsa. That was the ideology that built it.
Could you tell me some of the things that those Republicans did, the people you talk about, Frederick Douglass and Booker T. Washington, how were they able to build what they built by being a conservative republic?
Okay. What people today fail to realize is what you call a conservative Republican today is not the same thing as a conservative Republican back then. And a lot of people do know that there was some funny business that went on. Now, you and I have talked about this many times, but let me break it down for the viewers and the audience out there. Abraham Lincoln was a Republican. When they started the Republican Party, a big part of it was about uh, the abolition of slavery. That was a big component of that movement, right? The Republicans were about the republic being an actual republic. It wasn't about a democracy. We don't live in a democracy, right? Of that time period, Frederick Douglass traveled throughout the Deep South at great peril to himself to push the conservative movement and abolitionism. The conservative movement was the ideology of the Republican Party. What that was, it's a very simple concept that most of us, we are conservative by our nature, by our very nature. We don't know it because we're tricked and brainwashed not to understand it. But the Frederick Douglass traveled around and told people, if you abolish slavery and give Black people, people of color, this ideology of conservatism, they will not be a burden on white society, right? Okay, that was what they wanted. And so Frederick Douglass said, look, let them be conservative Republicans. What is a conservative Republican? Because everybody's like, what the hell is that? They're racist. No, a conservative Republican is four things, bro. It's four things. It's very simple. And when you think about what I'm going to tell you, you're going to be like, damn, that's us. Number one, respect for the Constitution. Not the statutory system, the Constitution. That protects us, okay? Number two, respect for life. Most Black people ain't trying to kill people. Most Black people don't believe in abortion. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's, we believe in life. We respect life. Number three, personal responsibility. That was very key. That was how Booker T. Washington came into this. Personal responsibility. That's why Tuskegee was built by its own students. They built and made their own bricks. They did everything. Self-reliance, personal responsibility. And number four, the final leg on that four-legged stool is limited government. And that was key to Frederick Douglass and the Black people. It's like, leave us the hell alone. Let us take care of ours. Just don't regulate us. Just stay out of our way. That's what it means to be a conservative Republican. What happened because of that? How did it change? How did that switch? People want to know. Tulsa, Oklahoma. Black Wall Street. Wealthy Black people living by that ideology. Wealthy. Black families were intact. Black colleges were doing well, and Black people were going to college, and they were proud to go to college. Family values were very keen. We believed in, family values like mother and father raising the children. We believed in that. That's when Black families and Black people and people of color and the indigenous community was doing very well as conservative Republicans. White people got jealous. They got so jealous, they were in their feelings. And they said, golly, we can't let this go because our people are still suffering. It's embarrassing for us to have poor white people. And look at these Black folks using this ideology to get rich. What did they decide? Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to re-enslave these people of color. We're going to put them into a new form of bondage. And this new form of bondage, we're going to put them under the Dixiecrats, the Democrats. We're going to make them believe that that is their salvation and that's their savior, is the Democratic Party. That's, by the way, the same party that created the Ku Klux Klan. Oh, the conservative Republican white people decided we're going to put them under there. And on top of that, get this, and every black person of color watching this, understand this. They decided we're going to make the term conservative Republican a dirty word in their mouth. So that when they hear that word, they're going to be like, oh, hell no, I don't want no parts of that. The same ideology that created Black Wall Street, you don't believe in that anymore. They're going to make you say that that is evil. We don't want nothing to do with that. Oh my God, you claim to be a conservative Republican? Oh, F you. Didn't they do that just well? They did it, didn't they? They got them. And so here we stand. Now, that is some powerful stuff to think about when you look at the history of how we've come from Black Wall Street to the ghetto and how it's institutionalized. And that takes you to the 60s and the civil rights movement. When we were doing all that damn marching and getting them fire hoses and the billy clubs and all that. That's when we got that going on, right? They said, yeah, we're gonna take care of you, people of color, black folks, from cradle to grave. Here's your Section 8, and here's some welfare, and here's some free money. Just here you go. Oh, please, plenty of it to go around. Well, everything comes with a string attached, doesn't it, brother? Everything. What was the string?
Everything.
$64,000 question, brother. What was the string? The string was, and the cost was, the destruction of the black family. All of a sudden, the father can't be in the house. Oh, no, you can't have a man in your house and we give you these benefits. So now take dad out of the equation. Now you got mom raising the kids. Dad can't even be around. The government will show up and cut off your money. Kick you out of your Section 8.
Oh, man.
And it disempowered the black family. Think about the cost. That was a heavy cost, bro. And that was some real shit that happened. They took the black family in the 60s and dismantled it and made people like it. Oh, I got free money. I got a free place to stay. I got food. And I guess I can't have the kid's dad in here, so I'll get JoJo down the street and I'll get, Roscoe over here and I'll satisfy myself like that. Black man, what happens to him without his family? Despondent, can't be with the kids, except to sneak around. Then they pump drugs and alcohol into the community. He can comfort himself with his heroin and his what do you call it, Ripple. So they destroy the family and put him under the Democratic Party. And guess what happens? Here's the insanity of this, Kerry. Here's the absolute abject insanity. Because of that free money and that free housing, we keep voting for these people because they give us free shit. We don't care about the destruction of the family. We don't care about the fact that the man can't be in the house. It's free love. Oh, and the next thing that they do, once they get so deep into it, now we're taking care of all these black kids and they're having all these black children, even though the father's not there. Oh, we're gonna introduce you to forced sterilization. Oh, if you have another kid, we're gonna cut off your benefits. Oh, well, how do you prevent having another kid? Let's sterilize you, and then you can just fuck all you want. And then you turn these women into like immoral women. And it's not to say that all of them do that, but you create the environment where that can happen. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So now you create the downfall of the black family on two levels. You got the man hooked on drugs. You got the woman out there desperate because that little money that the government gives ain't really quite enough to make all the ends meet. Just enough to just make you think you can do a little something to add on to that. What you gonna do? Scrub some floors? You know, do laundry for the white folks? Sell some drugs? Sell some booty? You see
So
how the destruction? You see how the destruction can become a conveyor belt of destruction.
yeah, I
You
see
see
it.
that?
I see it every day. But here's my question.
Yep.
So many of our grandmothers scrubbed floors. Many of
Yep.
our grandfathers worked in coal mines and swept the streets.
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck do we do to turn this shit around? Because
What do we
I'm
do to turn
seeing
this around?
because I'm seeing that we really don't seem to be too focused on that.
No,
And it's
no,
like you
we're
said,
not.
it's like you said, them brothers built Tuskegee University. It couldn't have took long when you had everybody putting hands in
Well,
it. And it's like,
yeah, well, yeah.
what is making us not do that?
What is making us not do that? Well, one of the factors that makes us not do that is thinking about the fact that we have been convinced that we don't need to do this for ourselves. We didn't work hard enough. We don't need to work no more. Let them give it to us. They owe us this. That's part of the attitude that keeps us underfoot. And the fact that they give just enough to keep you placated, just enough to keep you satisfied. Not enough to fill your belly, but not so you're starving. You know what I'm saying? They keep you just on the edge. You know, for us, how do we turn this around? We take things. Look, I say this all the time. I don't take life by the horns. I put that bitch in the headline. Okay. So what you got to do is really, as a people, we have to go back to something that we've been taught to ignore and to ridicule, which is those four principles. Now, you know, you and I had a really deep conversation about this a couple of years ago, bro. When we were talking about a new party and what we need to have as a new party, one of the names was the Green Party or the Earth Party. The thing
Right.
about it is, we need to have those four concepts that we use to build Black Wall Street. We
Right.
need to have that involved in that equation, plus some other things. But that is going to involve us coming to the table with some other people from around the country because, you know, the situation is different in LA from New York, from Birmingham to
Right.
Detroit to Chicago. So we all have to get some kind of way to where we can decide, okay, this is going to help us thrive as a people. And this can keep us together. This can be a glue that sticks us together. That we all believe in this as a unifying goal. You see what I'm saying? But
Exactly.
those four concepts have got to be there because there's some really, really much deeper knowledge that we ain't going to get into now. But there's some much, much deeper knowledge about how the Constitution is your friend. Okay, and there's a whole nother episode about how they hijacked the Constitution. But the thing is, you even have white folks talking about how they hijacked the Constitution. But when you talk about that as being one of the founding concepts of conservatism, and I'm not telling everybody to go be conservative again because right now, today in 2020, conservative Republican movement is bullshit. So that's why we were talking about a new name and a new thing. But the concepts are good. Those concepts are real and solid. But what they've done with it to bastardize it and turn it into what it is now, with this clown that we have now, that's a whole different thing. But those concepts that made Black Wall Street, we need to return to. You know, we need to return to that because that's where Tuskegee University came from. They built the school on that thinking, on that mindset. And that's where we got to go. If we're going to change things, we got to go back to that.
Wait a minute. I want
Because
you
we don't really have a lot of choice.
give me those four pillars again.
The four pillars of conservative republicanism under Frederick Douglass. and Booker T. I'm not talking about this current stuff, but the four pillars that the ideology was developed on. Number one, respect for the Constitution. Number two, respect for life. Number three, personal responsibility. Number four, limited government. And like I explained to you before, if you look at our people, we are this. If you look at each of those four pillars, look, number one, respect for the Constitution. Most people of color ain't trying to break no law and be outlaws and just screwing up like that. Most of us are not
Right.
seeking to live like that.
Right.
Number two, respect for life. Our people ain't trying to go around killing folks. We don't like that. You know, most of our people don't even like abortion.
Right.
We really don't. We respect life. Most of our people love to grow their gardens. They love to grow their livestock. They love to live off the land. That's
Right.
number two. That's the second pillar. Number three, personal responsibility. We don't want people to hand us out stuff. That's where they got us in the in that deal in the '60s with the giving us everything.
Mm-hmm.
James Brown, noted conservative Republican, wrote a song about it. Says, I don't want nobody to give me nothing. Open up the door, I'll get it myself. That's number three.
That was a badass cut.
Hell, he was a conservative Republican. Shit, think about that for a minute. He wrote a song about the ideology. That's number three on the concept. Number four, limited government. I don't need the government to tell me this and tell me that and regulate me. Get off me. Just set me free and I can take care of myself. I don't need you to give me your welfare. I don't need your Section 8. Just let me be free and take care of myself. Don't get in my way. Don't get in my way. Most of us are very industrious. How many brothers do you know that could paint a house, put in your plumbing, wire fix your car?
Right.
But you know what limits them? The government. Oh, you got to have this license and this certification and this and that and the other. The government gets in your way. The government unnecessarily gets in your way. So those four things. And I challenge you to find any black person, any person of color, any indigenous American, any of us that doesn't believe and understand and really believe in those four concepts. All of us do. But they hijacked and stole that from us. That was ours. Right. And they took it from us and they used it to enrich themselves. That's where these rich white people come from. They used our ideology to do it. Ain't that some shit? That's some shit. We're up there talking about, oh man, fuck the Republicans, fuck the conservatives. We don't believe in that. Why?
How was that done?
How was it done?
Yeah.
Because who signed that deal, the civil rights bill? What parties did the civil rights deal? Who did that?
Democrat.
Yeah. JFK started the process. And if you think about the history of this is really fascinating too. JFK, John F. Kennedy, started the process. The Southern white people hated it. And when Kennedy got killed and Johnson, Southern Dixiecrat hated the niggers. He called it the nigger bill. But he begrudgingly did it because everybody wanted something to honor JFK after his death. He didn't want to do it, and the Southern Democrats hated it. They hated it. It stank. It was shit in their mouth. They filibustered for damn near 2 days trying to stop it from going through. The nigger bill. And so once that bill went through, black people rejoiced. Oh, here's vindication, here's justice. They thought it was justice, but then they gave you justice in the Civil Rights Bill and that equality on paper, but then they gave you a whole new set of chains, financial chains, educational chains. That's what they did to you. Put you right back in a brand new bondage, right there on the spot. Because now, all of a sudden, because the Democrats did the Civil Rights Bill, we feel obligated to vote for them. We feel obligated to vote for them. And we do. Or they do. They do. Because I don't participate anymore since they got me in Alabama voting at the goddamn kiddie table. So no, they do. They do still participate in this Jim Crow bullshit. What?
So when you say we're voting at the kiddie table, what does that mean?
Okay,
we're
voting at the kiddie. Okay, no. Look at it like this. Because we're the children, the black folks, the colored folks, the people of color in this state are the children. They have to be supervised. Okay, think about it like this: you go to the poll and you get your Democratic ballot because you want to vote for your mayor, you want to vote for your city council, you want to vote for your county commissioners and these people, right? The people that you know, the people that you solicited their vote, you donated to their campaigns, right? That's who's on the Democratic ballot. Your local people, black people, colored people, indigenous folks. That's who's on your ballot. But if you mess around and get the Republican ballot, it's a totally different thing. On your Democratic ballot, you might have 20 elections, 20 things to vote for, and then some amendments and stuff like that. You mess around and get that Republican ballot, you might have 60 people running for different things. And here's the thing. The stuff that's on the Republican ballot, you don't see on the Democratic ballot. And the stuff that's on the Democratic ballot, they don't see on the Republican ballot. But why is that important, Kerry? Why does that make a difference? And why am I so pissed off about it that I'm not going to participate in the damn process? Why it matters is in Alabama, you have a funky, the only way to say it, shitty ass, messed up justice system. The justice system is the worst, one of the worst ones in the country, in the world, probably. Okay, there are movies written about this shit. Just Mercy was just written about the injustice in Alabama, how messed up it was. Okay, on that Republican ballot, of those 60 people that you're looking at, of those 60, who are those people that you're not seeing? You're not seeing your appellate judges. You're not seeing your district judges. You're not seeing your Supreme Court judges. You're not seeing, most of the time, you're not seeing your senators because they're all Republican. So when you walk in there and they force you to pick a side, Democrat or Republican, and you voluntarily pick the Democratic ballot with 20 votes, 20 elections on there, you're at the kiddie table. That's the little table, 20 little stupid elections, where you got 60 over here. And these 60, among those 60 on that Republican ballot, they do this intentionally because those judges, those are the people that can fry your colored ass in the electric chair. That's who those people are. And they are not scared of your colored ass because you can't vote them out. They're elected people, but they don't fear you. But guess who does vote them in? The racist bigots that want your ass to fry in that chair. That's who does it. So yes, you're voting at the kiddie table. Oh, and your senator? Most of the time in Alabama, it's two Republicans running against each other. So you don't even get representation in the Congress. They're eating at the big table, the grown-ups table, and your ass is over here voting for your little county commission and your city council. And the fact that there is no collective outrage among the people in this community pisses me off. And it's brought me to the point where I'm not participating. I refuse to vote at your stupid ass Kiddy table. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
So would a political party help any, or is it, or what needs to be done, man? Because
Well, at this point, you know, in Alabama, it's a serious uphill battle in Alabama, because the first thing that you have to do is educate these ignorant people that there is actually a problem and a crisis of a problem. And I've been on this for a few months now, and many of the city officials and leaders just go, oh, well, that's the way it is. That's a Republican thing. Like as if it's okay that the people that can fry you can't have any input, none. And the only people that do have input are the people that want you to fry. Shaking my damn head. Come on, man.
so is that
why are they not pissed? I don't get it.
no, so what about like we were talking about before earlier? We were talking about a political party, like all this energy that we're putting out for this stuff that's going on now. If we had that in our own political party, would that help?
Well, if there was a national party, that would be a good start. But it would take a long time for that to impact Alabama. You see what I'm saying? It would take a while for that to make a difference where I am, just because of the nature of the beast. The people are ignorant and they don't know what they don't know. You see, the people don't even realize that they can't vote for these people because they don't even show up on the ballot. Right. While the white people are over here voting for these people, the black people go over there and they don't even see what they're missing. They don't understand that there's a whole nother world over here that you're not a part of. So the first step is to let them know and to get them to understand that, dude, this is a big problem. And so the first thing is it's going to take probably a few election cycles to get people elected. First of all, they give a shit about this. And then they're going to have to go to the state and get that changed, which is going to be an uphill battle because they go buck. They're not going to want to give up that power. They're going to do everything in their power to prevent that from happening. So that's what I mean when I say it's going to be a serious uphill battle. Now, a third party, another party, that's a similar uphill battle, because the first thing that you're going to have to do is convince all of these senior citizens, Martin Luther King believers, these peaceful Democratic folks, to leave the Democrats and go somewhere else. Now that is going to be difficult. That's going to be real hard. So it's like we're stuck in a quicksand, and people don't know they're stuck in the quicksand, and they're not trying to get out.
So you don't think the events of today is, slapping people in the face saying, hey, this is what's happening to you?
Oh, it definitely is slapping them in the face. It's definitely an eye-opener for people. But most of the people are wondering, oh my God, holy crap, holy shit, what do we do? And so then they go looking for answers from people like us, like me or you. And they're like, okay, what do we do about this? How do we fix this? And then we have to come up with ways to get them, the general population, to understand the problem. You see what I'm saying? Because think about how many of our people are even politically astute. They don't even read the amendments. Think about this. The way that this even happened in the first place, the reason why this is even a thing is because they hid it in the amendments. And most of our people don't read or don't understand or don't even teach each other. If they do understand the amendments, they don't share their understanding. Now think about what happens here. The people, the state, the legislature draws up a bill and they take it and they say, okay, it's a referendum. We're going to have the state vote on it. They write it in the most complicated legalese manner. And then they teach all of their people and they educate them and say, oh, we need this. We need this bill. We got to vote yes on this. But they don't do that in the black community. They don't do that in our community because they're so busy just trying to get people to go and vote. People are so apathetic that they don't even go to vote. So, we're not going to try to teach them about the amendment. So they go to the polls and they just go eeny, meeny, miny, mo on the amendment. Well, guess what? That's where it's decided to separate the Democrats and the Republicans. And they write it in such a language that, the black people ain't going to read this. They're not going to even understand it. It's not going to make any sense to them. So we'll just take our chances that they're just going to eeny, meeny, miny, mo it. And that's good for us because it's more of us. And if we all know to vote for it, it doesn't matter what they vote for because they don't know anything any damn way.
Right.
You see where this is a self-perpetuating problem.
Right.
Until we can get people to understand that there is a problem. Most people don't understand that you're riding around on a flat tire, bro. And they just keep on riding around.
Right.
That's what we're doing here in Alabama. So to fix this, there are several different things that can happen. But in this current climate, what really must be done is while everybody is talking about, you got to vote, you got to vote, you got to vote. Well, in the same breath as you're telling people how to vote, you need to tell people what they need to vote for. And that amendment needs to come back up so that we can change that and unify it. I don't want to have to pick between the Democrats and the Republicans. That's stupid and asinine. And I imagine that people around the country that are watching this show are probably surprised and horrified that still exists anywhere in this country. That's still a reality here, y'all. They make you pick a side.
Right.
And because this is a Republican state, they have brainwashed you to pick the losing side.
Right.
How do you fix that? How do you fix that, man? They brainwash you to voluntarily pick the losing side.
Right.
Don't make sense, bro. Don't make sense. It's like so many of our people are just basically stuck on stupid.
Right.
What do you do? How do you fix that? How do you fix stupid?
You don't. Well, yo, man, listen. You're gonna have to come back. You're gonna have to come back again, man, because I'm glad I found you today, man.
Hey, yes. We'll do another episode, bro. And look, I'm gonna have to get you on my show, bro.
We'll
get you on my show, man. We'll get you on Incognito, bro.
Okay. But listen, I want you to share this last thing with the audience, man.
Yeah.
You shared it already,
yes,
but I want to hit this home. The four pillars of the constitutional republic. Could you say those again?
The four pillars of what it means to be a conservative Republican.
Well, explain conservatism real quick, because I think a lot of people hear that word and they really don't know what it means.
They do. Okay. I thought about this before the show because I had to come up with some kind of way to make people understand this. If you think about what it means to be liberal, because the opposite of conservatism in the political world is liberalism. What does it mean to be liberal? I'm going to liberally apply it. I'm just going to let it loose. Conservatism means I'm going to, take my time with it. Here's a good analogy. There are two types of people. There are some people in this world who, if they're going to make a fire, they got their wood on one side and the fire right here. There's some people that want to see how big they can make their fire. This is a big, huge, impressive fire. The biggest fire that's ever been made known to man. I put all this wood on here to make a pyre that's 20 feet in the air. That's liberal. I'm going to liberally apply the wood to the fire. I'm going to put all the wood on there. What is the conservative? The conservative says, I want to see how long I can make that fire last. I'm going to take my time. I'm going to put another log on there and keep that fire going. The liberal is going to burn up all his damn wood really quickly because he only has a finite amount of wood.
Right.
The conservative knows he has a finite amount of wood. He's going to put that shit on there carefully and take his time. That's the difference, really, in a general understanding of what the difference is between liberal versus conservative. Okay. Now, from a political standpoint, the liberals are about give away free money, take care of you from cradle to grave. Opposite of conservatism is
money we can make. Let's to make as much money as possible. You see what I'm saying?
No, you kind of blacked out.
Get off the call here in a minute, man. Work is calling.
Cool, man. Well, listen.
Did I lose it?
Are
you there, Kerry?
Yeah, you here, man. I know you got a roll.
I got to get back to work, bro. Listen, we'll do that part 2. We'll do that part 2.
Cool, man. Hey,
signing off, bro.
I'll call you this weekend.
That'll work, bro. Hey,
all right, man.
Peace to the gods, bro.
So, just wanted to add a brother on because there's other things we can be doing instead of going through this same old game every few years. What we doing? We're wasting our energy. Whatever we have, we wasting it, and it's being taken from us. It's being sucked off from us. They trying to get rid of these baby boomers. We should be using them now for something that we can have 30, 40, 50 years down the road. So that's why I wanted to have this brother come on and, share some ideas with you. But that, I'm not really into politics. But that conservative Republican thing, maybe that's something that it can be looked at, and all conservative means to me is saving. And that's what we need to start doing, just saving what we have instead of giving it all away like we do these wig shops and these tennis shoe shops. Come on, y'all. Got to be better. I'm going to see you next time. Peace.